Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is November the 22nd, 2023. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. Hopefully you're having a good Turkey's Day Eve, Thanksgiving Eve, whatever you want to call it, however you celebrate it and or don't celebrate it. Hopefully you're just having a good one. I hope. Like I said, I'm doing good. I'm hanging in. In terms of the cold front, how am I feeling? Still icky. I coughed myself awake at like 1:30 in the morning. So that was wonderful. I think I might have caught a cat nap in between that and work. But overall, we made it through. Hallelujah. And I get the day off before I go right back to the mines or, my little clothing warehouse, whatever. But yeah, overall, I'm good. I really hope that I pull off this Thanksgiving miracle and I get to see some family friends tomorrow and do that up. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure yet, but, fingers crossed, send me your energy on that. But yeah, let's see. Is there anything to really report food corner wise? I made a rendition on my Mexican beef bowl essentially, but I'll spare you the details and essentially just boil it down to I made a Mexican sloppy Joe torta. That's more or less what it became, and then I had some tacos like on the side with that, with yet again a pairing of soup, which I gotta say this soup was not good. By the way, all the soups I've been eating this week are like progressive soups, so it is what it is. It's essentially Campbell's adjacent. But this was like chicken wild rice, and it was one that like looked really appetizing on the can, but then like you open it up and you like go, oh, well, this is weird. Like it just it was giving something on the label that it wasn't giving when you peeled open the fucking can. You know what I mean? So we ate it. We bit the bullet on that one. But overall, it was fine. Another meal down. I gotta say, overall, this cold hasn't been the worst thing for me. But I hate having to curb my enthusiasm on the food I'm eating. I hate my nose getting clogged. Throughout the day. I hate sore throats, all that shit. It's the ick. It's the grossest to me. I hate it. So hopefully I'm back to 100% sooner than later. That is the hope. Anyway, enough about me. I've rattled and prattled long enough. Let me take my startup and then we can get into some news. Talk about that good shit or that bad shit, depending on what it is. Maybe your opinion on said shit. But yeah, let me do that. Whew. All right. From the Associated Press, Israeli official says talks continuing. Hostage release won't take place before Friday. So this is actually an update on the update I was going to give you guys before I went on. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's national security advisor says a planned hostage for prisoner swap with Hamas has been delayed until Friday, at least Friday. In a statement released late Wednesday, Tatsi Henjbi said that contacts on the deal were continuing. The release will begin according to the original agreement between the parties and not before Friday. The swap was to take place as part of a 4-day truce in the war in Gaza, expected to begin on Thursday. So essentially, this was as close as we were going to get to a ceasefire, though, this is a 4-day ceasefire in exchange for, I believe, 50 hostages, yes. So it's definitely a big deal, but at the same time, how much is this going to change? Well, that definitely remains to be seen. It's supposed to be, I believe, like 10 a day, 10 to 12 a day, something like that, in that number. And then also there's a provision involved where for every additional 10, I believe there's like a day added to the ceasefire. So, I mean, it's definitely relevant. It's definitely big news, but it's not it's not the ceasefire in the sense of like, okay, cool, now people can pick up the pieces and get back to their lives, as fucked up and hard as that already was in the situation before October 7th. We're not even there. Like, essentially, Benjamin Netanyahu is like emphatic that like, look, this war is continuing. Like, we are not going to stop. We are only making this pause because there's this deal, which I also learned that this deal that has been at least agreed upon, at least so much up to this point, this has been a deal that's been in the works since more or less the start of the war. So, Netanyahu and the war cabinet had this fucking deal. They did not want to make it, and essentially have been pressing and pressing and pressing, and maybe are still pressing, we don't know. And now saying, okay, well, now we have to kind of make the deal. Like, we officially have to kind of hit the pressure switch here and make this concession. Because listening to, other people talk about this shit, more or less the thought is like, once you go down this route, which don't get me wrong, this is exactly the route I want to see, is like, hey, you guys got to negotiate. You guys just can't keep blowing up innocent civilians, women and children, anyone. You can't just fucking keep doing this shit, yo. But essentially, once you kind of go down this path, as you're Israel, people are going to be like, well, keep making these deals. What are you doing? Like, blowing up people isn't going to change anything. We want our family members back. Like, people want to see these hostages get home. So you kind of have to keep making these deals. And I don't know if Israel really wants to make these deals if they are so focused on this whole idea of saying, hey, we have to eliminate Hamas. That is our main goal. That is our first and foremost thing, is the safety and security of Israel. And the only way for us to do that is to eliminate and eradicate all of Hamas. Even though, I said this before, I'll say it again. I don't know how you do that. You can kill all the top officials and all these motherfuckers, but that does not change the fact that now you've created a bunch of more people that are just going to hate you for the shit that you've done up until this point. Like, I don't fucking know. This is a point I wanted to read. The announcement of the truce capped weeks of indirect stop-and-go negotiations to free some of the roughly 240 hostages taken by Hamas and other militants during their October 7th raid. Egypt and Qatar, along with the United States, helped to mediate the deal. 50 hostages will be freed in stages in exchange for the release of what Hamas said would be 150 Palestinian prisoners. Both sides will let women and children go first. So that definitely means that, like, for any man, you're essentially still stuck. You're not getting moved at all. And I think that's a relevant thing because it already then instills that feeling for, like, the families. It's like, well, damn, if there's a male member I'm waiting to come home, I know I'm going to have to keep waiting. And that's something, like I said, once you go down this path, now we are talking peace shit, but yet you are trying to keep a war going. And that is where I just go, this is a tailspin. Like, it's so crazy. But I truly hope that somehow, some way, that cooler heads prevail and, like, you keep this going. Like, you keep this dialogue going. And it's not just a play for collective punishment, essentially. You know what I mean? Because that's just how it feels. That's how it fucking looks when you fucking see the shit day in and day out, man. Because like, where are we right now, right? You have people who have moved to the south. And now you're saying, okay, well, we're more or less wrapping up in the north. We found all the Hamas back caves and, like, you guys aren't really convinced anyway. And we still got to keep fucking eliminating Hamas. So now they're turning their eyes to the south. And essentially that's what we're looking at post this shit, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, well, what are these people going to do? They've moved all the way down here. There are still people saying, hey, I mean, this is still the best place we can go to at this point. Like, let's move here. Let's go here. And you're saying, now what? We're going to be engaging in Hamas down south. So that's very scary. That's very concerning to me. I still have more to read. I'm sorry. A ceasefire agreement between the Hamas militant group and Israel has been confirmed. The Israeli government said that under the deal, Hamas is to free over a 4-day period at least 50 of the roughly 240 hostages. In exchange, 150 Palestinian prisoners would be released by Israel, mainly teenagers detained over the past year for rock throwing and other minor offenses. That is such a specific genre of prisoner, by the way. And there are like thousands of people who are just held as prisoners, some without any kind of trial, without any kind of like, processing. You're just held, you're just in detention. They can do whatever the fuck they want to you, and that is what it is. There are other people who have been in prison that are not going to be released here because they are essentially saying like, oh, this is like someone who did a worse offense, and so we're not going to release them at all, at least not as of yet. So, and then I'm assuming too that there's even more people that are potentially getting detained and arrested. So I don't know. This to me, even though 150 to some people might sound like a big number, it is a drop in the bucket to me, and I can understand on the other side how you would think that is that way too. But yeah, I do feel like it's definitely still a good thing. It's still relevant, and on the overall, I am happy to see this despite the delay. They just kept saying, hey, we're close. But at least, hey, before we even got to Thanksgiving, there's this. And I know I've been, scrolling through Twitter, and all that. And people are saying, that's oddly convenient that, we're doing this shit, we're wrapping this shit up in a way, doing a little ceasefire before the holidays, maybe before Black Friday, if you will. Now, I don't know, maybe that might be a little bit too much tinfoil conspiracy thing. I don't know how much the whole ethical consumption wars are going right now, because, there's a lot of companies that are supporting and, giving money to Israel, backing Israel. That's just been a long on-standing thing. Also, another thing, we're going on a little tangent here, walking me in the weeds. Before we go to the next thing, something I wanted to talk about that has happened and has been happening is that like any celebrity, any like big known person that like speaks in favor of Palestine, speaks in favor or speaks against a genocide and ethnic cleansing, things of that nature, they are heavily scrutinized. They lose their jobs. Like Susan Sarandon apparently lost her television agency. Like they cut her because of statements she made in, defense of Palestine. Then there was another actress, her name's escaping me, but she's on the new Scream movie or whatever, and essentially she got cut for just retweeting some shit. And, that was just saying some, like, I guess perceived negative things against Israel, and so therefore it's like, oh, well, that's anti-Semitic. You said some anti-Semitic shit, you gotta get cut. But it's like, that's crazy. Like, meanwhile, like, if you're Michael Rappaport, you can just say whatever the fuck you want. You can just say whatever the hell you want. You can post whatever crazy deranged thing, say whatever, and it's fine. Same thing for Amy fucking Schumer. Whoever the fuck, you're totally fucking good. If you're Elon Musk, maybe you get clapped up for being anti-Semitic, like live as fuck, like for everyone to see on your own fucking platform. But sure, if you just say, hey, you can't say from the river to the sea, that's bad, you're bad, then you're fine. You're A-okay. There's nothing there's no harm to your career, your lifestyle, nothing for you. But you're coming for fucking Susan Sarandon? Fuck you. Fuck that. Fuck out of here. Okay. Same thing for Mia Khalifa. That's crazy. If they don't, if I say it once, I'll say it again. If they don't listen to Mia Khalifa, they won't listen to fucking me. But we got to talk that shit. We got to say the real shit. You got to fucking come out and stand on your fucking business. It's just crazy to me that we've done a 9/11. We've been through that before. And yet here we are again, just saying, hey, you know what? We can watch that happen again. We're totally fine with that. No, we aren't, and I'm glad that we aren't. I'm glad that when you actually do the polls, you actually go out to the people, they go, no, there's no reason for this. This doesn't make any sense. And the more you teach people about this shit, the more people learn that's what's been going on in Gaza, what's been going on in West Bank. The more you learn about this shit, I guarantee you'll understand. You will come at this shit differently. You will understand why people are doing these reblogs. They're coming out and actually saying something. They're walking out to these protests. Because you just can't see the shit and then not do anything and not say anything. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I ran way too long and that's my bad. But here we go. Let's move on to the next thing. From the Associated Press. OpenAI brings back Sam Altman. I was about to say Sam Bankman-Fried. Oh my God. We'll get to that. OpenAI brings back Sam Altman as CEO just days after his firing unleashed chaos. So guess who's back? Back again. Altman's back. I don't know. Tell your friend, which is probably ChatGPT at this point, because you don't have any friends and we live in a dystopian society. I don't know. The ousted leader of ChatGPT maker OpenAI will return to the company that fired him just days ago, concluding a short but chaotic power struggle that shocked the tech industry and underscored the conflicts around how to safely build artificial intelligence. The San Francisco-based company said late Tuesday that it had reached an agreement in principle for co-founder Sam Altman to return as CEO under a different board of directors. So I learned some things recently. Apparently, this board, this OpenAI is a really strange animal. It was initially a nonprofit. They wanted to come up with a way to give humanity the power and not just like the big tech companies or whatever. Like, so we had this idea of like saying, hey, we're going to make sure that OpenAI or AI goes with people. And that's how they came about this. Apparently this shit got so big and like got so much traction that even someone like an Elon Musk got on the project. But essentially they kind of got stalled. There wasn't enough action. There wasn't enough progress, at least for the people like Elon Musk. So people left and they started another company and things of that nature. So OpenAI was kind of stuck, right? You're this nonprofit. You're trying to grow the thing that you want, which is to give this like Promethean-like technology to the people, to the world. And you can't do that because you need what? Gobs and gobs of fucking money. So the likes of Sam Altman go, well, okay, let's hybridize this a bit. Let's make a for-profit company, merge it, link it to the nonprofit, and it will work in tandem and we'll all get what we want. And essentially this kind of model was like, it split the board about 50-50, 3-3. And everything was kind of good up until last week. And it seems like there was like growing desire, concern to say, we got to stop Sam. We have to cut this off because we are becoming way too much about the profit motive. And we are losing sight of like being the guardians and the stewards. Stewards is probably a better word for this technology that we are giving to the people. So that is kind of, I feel like, the kick here. And essentially they convinced enough of the members to turn and do the coup. But then it's kind of blown back in their face because you need a guy like Sam Altman at this point. He's just so tied to the fucking company. And not to mention, you do need money. Like, you've already made deals with the likes of Microsoft. And that is why Microsoft went out of their way to facilitate not just Sam, but was it Greg Brockman or whatever? He was like president, chairman, or whatever the fuck. Also co-founder. And up to I think like the 777 employees, of which I believe like 734, if I'm wrong on the number, I'm sorry. They wanted to leave after Sam Altman got kicked. And they did try to, go back and forth on this shit. But once Sam was like in Microsoft and they said, hey, we got him. He's good. We're all good here. They're like, okay, well, we'll move there because we don't want to work with this anymore. We don't want to work with the board that did this shit and won't step down and get Sam back. Like, they should at the very least leave. So essentially, I think all but one of the guys, which I believe is like the Quora, former Quora CEO, D'Angelo. The names are somewhere in this article. Feel free to look it up. I'm obviously in full riff mode. They all left but him. And Sammy's back. He's back, baby. Essentially, right where he's probably, I guess, supposed to be. And what are my thoughts on this? I kind of don't care. I'm kind of indifferent. It was a weird shakeup. I was kind of cool with the story once he landed in Microsoft, and I thought it was fucking over. And then now he's fucking back where he fucking got, fired from. And I'm like, whatever. Okay, fine. Overall, how I feel about OpenAI, it is what it is. I think at the end of the day, they bit the poison pill the second they said we need the money. Like we need billions of dollars to make this dream work, our like effective altruistic like dream happen, like to give this technology up to the world. Like once you do this, you've already made the deal with the devil. Like you can't stop the rails now. Like you're feeding it now. Like it needs to eat. And Sam's gonna do that. He's gonna keep making these things happen. He's very good at telling both sides of the situation in a way that makes you go, oh, he's like a really on the level nice guy. I don't know about all that. Yeah, and maybe I'm getting a little bit speculative here, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, this is a company now that is for profit. Sure, you had a non-profit starting goal or whatever, part of your company is, whatever. But no, once money is involved, once money is the motive, it just is what it is. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that. And we'll move on to the next beat. Next beat. Whatever. From ABC News. Rainbow Bridge between U.S. Canada closed following deadly vehicle explosion. Sorry, my throat is dry, so I'm going to drink some water. Excuse me. All right. Sponsored by water. Okay. Two people were killed when a vehicle exploded Friday on the U.S. side of the Rainbow Bridge, which connects the U.S. to Canada at Niagara Falls, New York, according to sources. The Rainbow Bridge has been closed in the wake of the incident. The vehicle, believed to be a Mercedes, sped toward a border checkpoint at the U.S. side of the bridge and hit a concrete barrier. Multiple sources briefed on the investigation told ABC News. The impact sent the vehicle careening into the area where the U.S.-bound cars are sent for secondary screening. The vehicle burst into flames and exploded, sources say. So, I mean, it's still being investigated, but there was a follow-up article that I saw right before I went on that is saying they are no longer saying that is a terrorist thing. They don't think that it was. But, I mean, obviously that seems very suspicious that a Mercedes just, like, is driving that way, careens into a barrier like that. Also, investigators have found some sort of a suitcase or briefcase on the scene. Excuse me. So, it's a concerning thing. It's a worrying thing. Also, the timing is very, ominous. It is, Thanksgiving, everyone's traveling, all that kind of shit. Also, apparently there's, bad Thanksgiving weather on the horizon. I don't know. That was something that was kind of buzzing around the news. So if you're traveling, buyer beware, be careful, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, this was, just a big development that I saw as I was like, at the end of my day. So I figured, hey, let's go ahead and cover that. Let's talk about that. The explosion on the Rainbow Bridge. Goddamn. Sounds like an Amon Amarth song or some shit. Anyway, let's move on to the next beat. It is from Bloomberg. And I will keep you in suspense there because I want to take my break. I want to make my throat hurt more. Glutton for punishment I am. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. Love a nice cold beer. Okay. Binance pleads guilty. Loses CZ. Pays fines to end legal woes. Binance Holdings Ltd. and its chief executive officer Changping Zhao, or CZ, pleaded guilty to anti-money laundering and U.S. sanctions violations under a sweeping settlement with the U.S. that allows the cryptocurrency exchange to continue operating. Binance will pay $4.3 billion in one of the largest corporate agreements in U.S. history. Zhao will pay a $50 million fine under a deal that requires him to step down as CEO. Zhao pleaded guilty Tuesday to violating the Bank Secrecy Act in federal court in Seattle. The deal, which includes the Justice Department, Treasury Department, and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, ends a year-long investigation into the exchange. Excuse me. Binance, which admitted that it allowed transactions with Hamas and other terrorist groups on the platform. Excuse me. I love that they start off with Hamas because that's such a trending fucking thing right now. Was charged with 3 counts, including anti-money laundering, operating in an unlicensed money transmitting business, and violating U.S. sanctions. The exchange is paying a criminal fine of $1.8 billion and forfeiting $2.5 billion, according to court filings unsealed Tuesday. Now, Zhao is facing up to 10 years in prison, but most likely won't get any more than 18 months, according to the plea deal. He was living in Dubai and is going back to Dubai, I believe, until this sentencing. And it's not said so strongly here, but from what I've heard from other sources, it doesn't seem like it's very likely that he might face any jail time. Because, like, he could just stay where he was. I don't think he was going to get extradited or anything like that. But he was in, like, deep talks with the, with the government, Justice Department, whatever the fuck, to get this deal worked out because he realized how under the gun he was and he could not make many moves. He could not, go to any place where he could get extradited because then he'd be fucking jammed up. And naturally, you don't want to live like that. Obviously, for Binance, you have been under the gun. Because that's the thing. If you're a longtime listener, I've talked about CZ before, which is bringing back scam, Bankman fraud. At the sense, they were like rivals. They were on some like Ash Gary shit. You feel me? They were like doing little Twitter exchanges and yada, 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 being all cryptic and coy with each other. But Binance was literally the big bank to FTX's little bank. And essentially, when shit got foobar for FTX, CZ was kind of like, kind of playing with his food a little bit, saying like, hey, we'll help you out, da 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 da. Let's get in and look at the finances and let's see what we can do. And then he looks into the finances, and of course these motherfucking thieves are looking at each other like, yeah, of course we're fucking fucked up, and of course we got fucked up books and it's all bad. We can't actually help you. Sorry, our bad. And of course FTX goes to shit. FBF is, he's gone. He's in prison now, and I think at the end of the day, Zhao came out on top on that. And it looks like he's just winning again because I don't think he's going to get any jail time. Now, granted, if I'm wrong, totally wrong, I'll definitely keep you updated on that. Sentencing is definitely not for a while. But yeah, it looks like he just made this deal and Binance made this deal so they can kind of get back to it. Also, it's a bit, I don't know if it's suspicious or weird because, like, you would think that they would go as hard as they could on CZ, right? Like, they would just take him all the way down like they took SBF. But I think at the same time, the cryptocurrency world is forever in shambles. They have not gotten back up. You know what I mean? The Bitcoin is still dog shit. And at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is completely take out the knees of something like Binance, because then it's only making that kind of problem worse. So yeah, I think this is kind of like a bit of a compromise that they are touting as a complete W in terms of like the Justice Department and all the prosecution involved. Because they made a big rally off of, Sam Bankman-Fried, and essentially they were saying, hey, we're going after everybody. We're going after all the bad guys. And like, essentially, CZ is someone on the top of their list, and essentially they're kind of just giving him a get out of jail free card. Once again, maybe not. Maybe he will face some time, but like 18 months as opposed to whatever the fuck SBF is going to be getting, man, night and fucking day. So yeah, that's also before we close out, the new CEO is going to be Richard Ting. I don't know anything about him, but that's the new guy. So yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll call it an episode at that point. Ooh, I did good. All right around 30. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, become a newsie today. Patreon.com/Isaiah News is how to do that. Also, gotta add, you gotta be subscribed. You gotta give me a little bit of the money, and that's how you get the shout out. I'll plug a project, thing you like, whatever. And free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Also, I'm on all the socials. I got my Blue Sky account up and running, so you can find me there and everywhere. And hopefully you're subscribed to the YouTube. Hopefully you're subscribed to whatever listening device you're on. hopefully you leave a nice, fun, cool comment. I gotta say thank you to the homies who get on the Facebook page every once in a blue moon, say some funny shit, be cool, fucking talk your shit, love that shit, stand on your business. All right, that's the episode. Hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.